Adam, how's it going, guys? Starting you with you, Shabs. How you doing?
Feeling much better actually. Obviously we were meant to record the pod earlier before the European games,
Yeah,
but which I was more depressed about. But now I'm feeling a bit better, a little bit.
good, good.
Yeah.
For those listening, thinking, wondering what happened to the recording, we had, shall we call them technical issues, before, with the recording. But we're here now. Nabi, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing okay. You?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Things are all right. Starting to sort of see a little bit of daylight. I guess with all this COVID in the world, it does seem like there might be a little bit of light at the end of the very, very, very long tunnel that it's been. But yeah, all around, I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. But yeah, before we get into the show, as we usually do, we're gonna put all our socials in the description, so please make sure you like, you interact, and oh, what is it? I forgot what I was to say. What I always say: like, interact,
Subscribe, follow,
yeah, subscribe, like, and
both.
interact, everything. And also, what we're gonna put in there, we've just recently opened up a new account on TikTok, where we'll essentially be putting all the sound bites from our conversations on here. So yeah, you'll be able to hear all the latest sound bites if you're on TikTok. Also, we'll put the link in. Make sure you subscribe. But yeah, now that's out of the way. So yeah, we're gonna essentially just be looking back at the last two fixtures for our team. Well, for Arsenal and for Liverpool and United, it'll be three because they had a double game week. But for Arsenal, it's Leicester and Burnley that we'll be looking at, the 3-1 win at Leicester and the 1-1 draw at Burnley, which was rather disappointing. Sorry? Oh, sorry, I thought you said something, Nabi. But yeah,
I think
kicking
I
off.
was internal burping.
Oh, nice. Kicking off with the Arsenal. Yeah, we had the 3-1 victory at Leicester, away to Leicester. Actually had a brain fart there. Completely forgot the stadium, Leicester's stadium name.
King Power.
King Power Stadium. There we go. Thank you, the KP Stadium. But yeah, 3-1 victory. But it did not. So the performance, I think, is truly reflected in the result. It could have been more, maybe one or two more goals, but overall, I was happy with the performance, happy with the result. But I guess getting into the game, the first half, within the first 6 minutes, in typical Arsenal style, recently we conceded a goal. And in terms of that goal, yeah, Xhaka gives the ball away. And then obviously Xhaka's not got the pace. Tielemans nicks the ball. Start from pretty much, I think, right in front of the dugout areas, near the halfway on the touchline, and then essentially just runs in from there into our box, takes a shot, uncontested, pretty much. And yeah, Leicester take the lead in terms of that goal. A lot of people, or some people, are sort of putting the blame on Pablo Mari, but me personally, I put it more on El Neni, because with the Pablo Mari, he had Jamie Vardy, who was making a brilliant run actually, behind him, which sort of pulled him away from Tielemans. And David Luiz was far across on the right hand side. By the time he tucked in, I think he still had enough time to still shout on Murray to go and close the ball, but I don't think he did. So Murray kept on thinking about Jamie Vardy, cut off the pass to Jamie Vardy, fair enough to him. But after that, there was, just pretty much left Tielemans on his own. And like I said, we had El Neni, who was coming across in midfield. I think he could have gotten across a lot quicker to shut the ball down, or at least push Tielemans a little bit wider, and make it harder for him. But yeah, he literally had a free runner goal, took a shot, and it was a really good finish, to be fair to him as well.
So, what do you say to the notion that Mari should have dealt with the active threat instead of the could be threat.
That's a fair argument, but with the distance that I guess Tillemans travelled, if Mari pushed Tillemans, it's literally a free pass to Jamie Vardy and he's in. Like, I if I was Mari, I probably would have. The thing I would say, just looking at the centre backs without taking into consideration, without sort of looking at El Neni, I would have expected David Luiz to communicate with, because Mari could, he knew where Vardy was, but David Luiz had a clearer picture. He could see Vardy, Mari, and Tillemans. He could have then told, once he got close enough to Vardy, he could have just shouted to Mari, push on the ball for Mari to then close the ball down. But it doesn't seem like that shout never came. So Mari just kept on dropping off. And like I said, he cut the space. But I get what you're saying, that, you know, the active threat was Tillemans. But at the time that he was running, he wasn't yet such a threat until, maybe when we realized that, he's going to have a free shot. It was probably too late for Mari to close the ground. But like I said, I would have liked a shout from David Luiz a little bit earlier to Mari to get across to the ball. And then just say, you know, I've got the man. You get the ball. But yeah, I get the point that what you're saying. But yeah, Arsenal actually responded well after that goal. I was to be fair, I would say surprised, but because during the week we responded well against Benfica when we were essentially out the tie. But yeah, another game where we came back, and yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was the penalty, wasn't it? Lacazette, after Pepe took a shot, which indeed I don't know, you know, what he was thinking. Put both his arms up, you know, right in front of him. And yeah, blocked the ball, handball, got the penalty. And even on that side as well, Pepe was, I think, me personally, I've been pretty impressed with Pepe, how he's come on, how he's been playing recently. He's been playing really well, actually. And the recent months, you know, sort of going back, like I think probably going back to since we got a 10 on the pitch, since Emil Smith-Rowe started coming. Pepe has been playing really well, and I've been really impressed with him. And this game was no different, really. He terrorized Leicester's left back, honestly. And they got a booking, the left back, and he had to come off at halftime. Brendan Rodgers took him off at halftime, and brought all Brighton on, just because you know, Pepe was running a bit riot, to be fair. And he continued to do so in the second half. Ended up getting his goal as well. And we had the David Luiz header as well, which sparked, highlighted, what's his name, Willian's second assist in 2 games, coming from the Benfica game midweek. And then you had that, and he's been on a bit of a decent run of form as well, to be fair to him. But even on sort of Leicester's, I don't know if you guys noticed it, that on their right-hand side, they played 2 fullbacks to try and sort of nullify Arsenal's attack down that side, which works to an extent, I think. We still had, you know, Pepe tearing it down on the opposite side with Cedric in support. And I've sort of been really impressed, actually, with, surprisingly impressed, I must add. I wasn't the greatest fan when we signed Cedric. If you think, it was like 28, 29, and we gave him a 4-year deal, even though it was for free. But still, you know, that's a very long time to give to a 28-year-old, 29-year-old. But he's been playing really well, actually. I feel like we get the best performances out of Pepe when he's playing with people that... this is going to sound like I'm having a dig at Bellerin a little bit, who are, I guess, positionally wise. Because when you're seeing Cedric supporting Pepe, you know, he doesn't just run straight and right next to Pepe. He tends to sort of bend his run a little bit to sort of get away from Pepe, to give Pepe a little bit of space, which in turn gives the defenders a little bit of a decision to make, because you can't then now just, if you run next to Pepe, if Cedric runs next to Pepe, sorry, the defender can just come in, and he's now got, Pepe's now got two defenders in front of him, but the way Cedric runs, he takes his defender with him and gives the defender that's marking Pepe a little bit of a decision to make as well. Again, leaving Pepe one-on-one, which I feel like he thrives in. You can drop a shoulder or a step over or whatever he needs to do to skip past the guy and find a pass. Whereas a lot of Bellerin's play is usually inside and backwards. Never tends to play well with Pepe, I feel. It doesn't really offer a great deal overlapping recently. Whether that's to do with a little bit of confidence in him since he's been back from injury, or is still building up his pace, I don't know. But yeah, I feel like we get more from, like I said, from Pepe when Cedric is playing, or when he's playing down the left-hand side with Tierney, who sort of offers similar support to Cedric. But yeah, in terms of that game, personally, I was happy with the performance, apart from the first 6 minutes, and very happy with the result. Though, be it was the Leicester team, sorry, that was missing Maddison. But it's still a team that we still needed to put to the sword, and we did, which I was happy about. But yeah, I'm not sure if you guys have any questions on that particular game.
No, I don't have any questions. I would just say Arsenal have been playing well, and I think it's helped to be able to use Emil Smith-Rowe and Odegaard.
Yeah.
Either both or one or the other, based on the type of game that they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, both have been very good actually. I think Odegaard settled in very quickly as well.
Yeah.
And then I think Cedric, the Cedric stuff, I think it's because he's more of a traditional right back in terms of just goes up and down the wing, gets the crosses in, makes overlapping runs, so Pepe can then get the space to come onto his left foot.
Yep.
Whereas if Bellerin goes inside, Pepe then has to try and go on his right foot.
Yeah, Bellerin makes a lot of inverted runs.
Yes, I think that combination helps a lot more. Similar to how like Tierney, Aubameyang have a good relationship. With Liverpool, you got like Robert and Mane have had a very good relationship on one side. So it's just, I'd say partnerships matter most on the wings. So I'd say Cedric probably better at this moment if it works better with Pepe. Yeah, otherwise I'll say Arsenal looking good in general. They have had the odd issue though early on. Like I think Xhaka has had a couple of issues, hasn't he? And whether it's like getting put under pressure due to trying to pass out, and it's just going to happen sometimes. But I've noticed in some of the recent games there has been some issues. It's the Burnley one, for example. Obviously, Wood scored from a press, which you wouldn't expect from Burnley. But yeah, that's what I've got.
Nabi, I thought you wanted to say something.
I was just going to say I'm not a fan of Bellerin, and then Arsenal should look to cash in if anybody wants him.
I'm with you. The rumors are this summer PSG are looking to get Bellerin. I'm completely with you. I would be happy to sort of cash it.
But then if PSG want him, he must be good enough, right?
I don't know.
You think,
but
in a way,
the thing, whether he'll be a starting or either way,
yeah,
for me, he might be what they want based on how they play, which I'm not too sure under Pochettino. But in terms of for what we need at Arsenal, yeah, it's just not working at the moment. And yeah, and yeah, I completely agree with that. I saw a stat from Orbinho actually. This guy who works for Optastat, and I think he's an Arsenal fan as well. He released something where essentially showed, I think it was the last 5 or 6 games. Going back to the Wolves game, I can't remember how many games that is off the top of my head now. Every time Arsenal have conceded, apart from the City game, which was a header from Sterling, every time we've conceded, it's pretty much been because of an error that Arsenal have made. Which then after that I saw someone was tweeting, I can't remember the person to give credit to them actually. It was more of a joke really that if you want to beat Arsenal, all you need to do is just defend for 90 minutes. They will beat themselves. They said we'll make an error that will essentially present a goal scoring opportunity. Because again, moving on to the Burnley game, like Shayab was saying, that game, we should have probably been 2-3 up by halftime. We had really good chances in the first half. But it's sort of been the story of us, well, not the story of our season, like the story of our season since the Chelsea game, should I say, where we dominate teams in the first half period, but then we don't take our chances, and then it comes back to bite us. Like going back to the Wolves game as well. Like, yes, it was down to the issue with the decision, but really, we should have been going into the half 3-2 up, 3-1 up, sorry, or 2-1 up, rather than going in 1-1. We had so many chances that game early on. Saka hitting the crossbar, and yeah, we're just not taking our chances when we're on top. And yeah, and like I'm saying, it's continuing to come back and bite us. And similar to the Burnley game, we had our chances, we didn't take them. And then second half, for me personally, I don't know what you guys think. With the Burnley goal that they scored off Chris Wood, I'm put the blame more on Xhaka on this one. Simply than Leno. Because there were people who were sort of putting the blame on Leno, saying Leno shouldn't have passed it to him. But Xhaka still had a lot of time. He had a man behind him, but there was no one sort of in front of him. Either he could have sort of tapped it back to Leno. By the time he got the pass, he took a touch, which I personally don't think he should have done. I guess it was on his weaker foot, I granted, but he still had the pass out, the option out to David Luiz. But the way he took his touch, I kind of feel like it closed his angle down a little bit, took it pretty much straight on back where he came from. And then instead of, I don't know, he literally, or he could have at least taken it with his left, twisted, sort of going towards the right, towards the left, Tierney side. But he decided to go straight down, went to, Chris Wood closed the pass off, actually, and then he still tried to make the pass. But there's still angles, actually, stills where you can see by the time when he receives the ball, he still could have made that pass first time. He's made that pass as well. That's the thing that I guess that's frustrating, that he's received that type of ball and made those passes fine. The last few times, because we've been doing this for a while now. It's not like this is the first time he's done this. We've been making those kind of plays, those kind of passes, and it's been fine. That time, but I say I put the blame on Xhaka. At the same time, I don't blame him, if that makes sense, because it playing out from the back, these kind of things are going to happen. These kind of things, they are bound to happen. But it's just minimizing them. With Arsenal, it just seems like they're happening a bit too often now, because I think I remember it happened with Liverpool last season, and then Klopp just came out joking around, saying, oh, I think it was Alisson actually that made the mistake. Klopp joking around, came out and said, yeah, that's his mistake for the season, and it turned out to be correct. He didn't make any other mistake after that. So for me with Arsenal, it's one where I'll be willing to accept the goal here and there, but then the thing is, it's happening, it's sort of consistently, quite recent. And if you're looking at, I guess, we're recording this on Friday now. We had the game against Olympiacos on last night on Thursday. That's 2 consecutive games where we've made the same mistake, But yeah, with that one, I blame Xhaka, but at the same time, I don't. Playing out from the back, these things are bound to happen. But it's just sort of minimizing those kind of mistakes, The way I guess I kind of look at it, until I'm assuming we get better players. Because the thing is, when it happened, when Partey gets the ball, he was being put under the same amount of pressure. But the thing about Partey, he's press resistant. He can drop a shoulder and dribble past the player. Xhaka can't do that. He's very sort of stiff. Once he faces a certain way, either he passes the ball that way or kicks it out. I'm just looking at it in the sense, Pep's first season, he didn't have the players that he wanted, but he still kept on playing the same way. And we all remember the amount of mistakes that the players were making on the pitch. And, even the media sort of branding and saying, his type of football is not going to work in the Premier League. But, look at it now. Not that I'm saying Arteta is at that level, Arsenal are at that level, but I'm just sort of forecasting that if we do get better players more press resistant players, it will become better, and we will minimize the mistakes rather, and they won't be occurring as often as they do. But yeah, apart from that, I was a little bit I was more disappointed with the Burnley game, to be honest, because I guess moving on from that, we have the penalty decision. I don't know what you guys thought. I guess we'll talk about the quick one first. The red card that was rescinded, and the penalty. I didn't have an issue with that. That was completely fine. It was the right decision, to be fair. It didn't hit his arm, hit his shoulder. I think that was VAR, I would say, working perfectly in that particular incident. But the issue I had was the handball that Peters had that wasn't given, and they gave the reasoning of proximity. But me personally, I think if any ref goes and watches that, they're given the penalty. Across pretty much all the refs, I think, because the thing is, Peters, his hand being there stops Pepe getting past him, so Pepe can't progress because of the mistake that, well, I don't even want to say, not that I'm saying he intentionally put his hand. Peters thought, oh, let me block the ball with my hand, but him doing that stops Pepe progressing in the box. So I guess, Nabi, what were your thoughts on that, if any?
I mean, yeah, it's not intentional, but I think that the making yourself bigger rule or notion, I think that probably applied there.
Yeah.
In the way his arm was out, it did make him bigger, and it probably should have been a penalty.
Yeah. Shabs,
The only thing I would say is, I do think it should have been a penalty, and I think they overlooked the speed of the ball when they considered proximity, because he kind of lifts it, so it's not got the speed in the normal like a crossing situation.
Yeah, it wasn't like a fast-paced ball. It was almost like
he was kind of just trying to lift it past him.
Yeah,
and Peter's hand was there to kind of like block Pepe in terms of like a type of arm/body block, and ended up catching his arm. So he obviously didn't do it intentionally.
He
the only thing I would say,
rather than like intentionally, it was one of those where he didn't move it rather than move it towards the ball.
Yeah,
like he could have moved it. He just left it.
No, his arm was there to like, he was trying to like get in the way of Pepe, as in Pepe was going to lift it and run, and he was using his arm to try and like block Pepe. You know, when you put your arm in front of the player, that's what his arm was there for.
I think Adam was saying that, to your point, where you're saying the ball wasn't traveling very fast, so Peters had a chance to move his hand when the ball was chipped up, but he didn't. He just left it there. Like, he could have moved his hand.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think he could have moved his hand, but
But yeah. My point was going to be that what we've seen very, very recently, I'm going to use Liverpool as an example, obviously, but the Kante one in the Liverpool game, proximity was the same reason again. I know that ball was moving faster because obviously it was a cross into the box, but in my opinion, that also should have been a penalty, but they took proximity and went definitely not. They purely just went proximity and it's not. And I feel like they've just basically
with Kante's
done the same.
It's more like he was like that, right?
He wasn't like that. His arm was up.
No, but with
it was like that though, wasn't it?
Yeah, with Peter, his arm was fully stretched out.
Kante's was like this.
Oh, like an L. Sorry for those who are listening, or you guys listening, you won't be able to see the signs that we're making on video. So Kante's was like an L with his arm up.
It's not. It shouldn't be there. Like, no matter what you say, it shouldn't be there.
But I agree. But I'm just saying, with Peters, his arm was stretched out wide. That's.
No, but either way, we're not like, both are just as bad in terms of very unnatural positions.
Both should be penalties, in my view, to be honest.
So that's my only point. Is what I'm looking at is what referees have decided is anything in very short distance, no matter what the context is, they're basically saying no penalty. That's what it looks like to me. That's what they've decided to do.
I don't think the Kante one. I don't think he could have moved his arm for the Kante one because there was more.
No, but it's not about that. It's about the fact that the arm shouldn't even be there. Like, there's no reason for his arm to be like that. Like, you can expect a player's arm to just be slightly out by his side, but what is Kante's arm doing up there? Like,
yeah, but I don't think it's because the ball's fired into him, even where his arm is. It's just like when the Liverpool penalty Liverpool got in the Champions League final against Tottenham, when Mane just booted it against Sissoko's arm when he was pointing.
No, but you're talking about something where the handball rules evolves every week. So there's no point going that far back because the handball rules changed since then. Like beginning of the season, some of the handballs that were being given were ridiculous.
Yeah, but
so
they've
what's the point of
reverted
going back? No, but
they've
what
reverted
I'm
that.
saying is, what's the point of going back to a situation when the handball rule was completely different? Because if we're going to use the Mane argument, at that time, the way the handball rule was, they would have 100% given the Peters one and 100% given the Kante one. Like both would have 100% been given, no matter what. There wouldn't even be an argument.
For me, the thing is, if Peter Walton is saying that it should be a penalty, you know.
Oh yeah, it should. I'm just saying they both should. I'm just saying they both
yeah.
should. But what looks like the referees have decided from now on, for whatever reason, whether we agree with it or not, is they've gone anything like 2 yards and they're saying no. Like, no matter the context. That's what it looks like they've done.
Is that the thing? 2 yards?
I don't know. I'm just saying it looks like they've just gone proximity.
This is the thing for me now. Like, when you start mentioning proximity, you're going to need to start getting a ruler out and measure what's too close. What's just far enough.
What's too far? What's too close? Yeah, exactly. Do they consider the speed of the board? Do they like I don't know.
If you start factoring in proximity, it raises more questions. Okay, cool. What's too close? What's far enough? If I'm, say, 5 yards out and then I handball it, will you consider proximity then, or will you say no, you don't? Or if I'm 2 yards, so I guess these things that they will need to clarify to the fans and I guess to the world, because even pundits and broadcast, they have no idea either, to be honest.
Yeah, because do we really know the handball rule? No. Like, do we honestly
to be fair, like, someone made a good point that the handball rule has never been perfect. Like, even before VAR,
it's not.
Has never been.
It can definitely be better than what it is.
Yeah, I agree.
That's like, and it can be at least clearer. I think it's not clear enough to us.
Yeah.
Because it's changing so often, we don't actually know what the rule is anymore.
Yeah.
I think before, even though we might have disagreed with that point, because the rule stayed the same for years and years, we knew what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
We knew what it was. Whereas now it's evolving all the time. Like, you
also,
don't know what to say.
Just speaking of VAR, I don't know if you guys saw the Premier League posted that they're speaking to the PGMO to see if they can start letting the fans hear what the discussions are between the referee and the VAR referee, because the pundits hear it, but I don't understand why the fans can't hear it.
Yeah, I did see that. They've also going to send out a survey to all the Premier League clubs about what they feel like they could improve VAR as well. So that's another thing that they're looking at.
Yeah, because
we'll see how that goes.
I think it will take out a lot of the confusion. I don't know if it will. Actually.
I think communication is definitely key, similar to what they have in rugby.
Yeah.
Actually, like, in any sport, there's always communication.
Cricket as well. Cricket, you can kind of hear.
They talk through it and then they go back to the umpire, like the third umpire. It doesn't obviously stop, the video umpire.
It doesn't stop the calamities happening, but at least you can kind of understand the
their thought process, and you go, okay, this is why he made this decision, because his thought process was like this.
XYZ, exactly.
So I can understand where he's coming from. Whereas right now we're just going, how did he not see that? How did he see that? Do you know what I mean? Whereas if referee explains it and goes, I saw it like this, whoever is his VAR ref is, can you tell me if it's any different, or if I've got it wrong? If we're hearing their conversations, we can be like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
And even if we disagree, we can actually understand and be less anger about it.
Yeah,
but
no.
Yeah, I've looked at the Kante one again. I don't think his arm is in an unnatural position, because it's not like he's got one arm different to the other. They're both doing the same thing.
But just because both doing the same thing, why is his arms up there? What is he looking to do?
Because he was trying to block it, and the way he was trying to block it, he was just the way he was doing it. I was like, I'm blocking the ball, like that, and then his arm just ended up like that.
I wish you guys could see what that just.
I can't even see what that was.
I wish we had video. You could just
because he was blocking it. He went for a block and he went like this, like to block it. So it was natural in a way to him.
I think if that's against United, you're calling handball all day long. Personally, that's my opinion.
Well, they had a blatant handball against Chelsea.
Did you? You also had a non-handball goal disallowed midweek in the Europa League, where no one can actually see, unless we can find new footage, no one can actually see where the handball was. Like, it looked like it touched Kessie's hips.
You're digressing into Europe here, and our host doesn't like
that. It's still a decision that went in United's favour, and I know there's been a lot of chat about how United have got decisions against them lately. I feel like it should be mentioned that they got one in their favor.
In the name of fairness, let's stick to the Premier League. I guess I'm not sure if you guys have any more questions, but overall, I guess even now in the process, I'm still I'm optimistic with Arteta and the way the team's looking. Obviously, not happy with league position, but it's to be expected. Hopefully, now approaching.
I think the bigger interest is North London derby and what your expectations are on that.
Yeah, should be good. Should be good, isn't it?
Nervous?
I'm not gonna
calling it 50-50, or you putting Tottenham favourites or Arsenal favourites? Like, how are you seeing it?
I would say maybe. Oh, you guys won't get the joke. I was gonna say 55-50, but it's from another podcast that I watched where the guy completely got his math wrong. And yeah, anyway.
She has done that before.
Yeah, is it?
He thinks there's 3 halves and a half, 3 halves and a whole.
Oh, that was ages ago. I felt back. You love going back in time, Naby, don't you? Talking back to Mane winning a penalty in the Champions League final.
That's all about referencing.
Do you know how long ago that was?
Why does that mean it doesn't matter anymore?
I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but why is it still in your head? Like, why do you still care about that far back?
Naby does not forget. You should know this.
Did it hurt that much to see Liverpool winning a Champions League? It's fine. Not everyone can, have original Champions League trophies in their cabinets.
Anyway, I would probably say there's a 55-45. I'm feeling confident. It might sort of pull it back a little bit because doesn't Tottenham's recent form with their attackers, especially Bale, like lighting it up all of a sudden? Yeah, does that not worry you? I mean, Bale, Kane, and Son. I was going to say, yeah. I was just about to get onto that Bale's form recently is
we're seeing the old Bale, right?
Well, I think it's 2
okay, not completely, but enough of it where like even an 80% Bale was still better than a lot of players.
That's true. Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
And his finishing is still there no matter what. Like he can hit a ball into the net easily. Like, you trust him to score a goal if he's 1-on-1.
Yep. It'll be interesting. I guess the thing is he'll be on Tierney's side, won't he? If he's playing. So big game for Kieran. It'll be a really big game for him. Hope he performs and sort of. To be fair, like. I get Bale's form, but my main worry when we get into North London derby is always Harry Kane. Always. Because he, like Jamie Vardy, finds some way, somehow, to always score against us.
He's a big game player, isn't he? Yeah. Unlike Bruno.
Is this you? No, shut up. Is this you trying to jinx Kane like you jinxed Vardy?
What do you mean?
Because in that pre-pod, you said that you told people to get Vardy into the fantasy team because you guaranteed that Vardy would score against Arsenal. You guaranteed it.
I will guarantee that Kane will score against Tottenham, against Arsenal. Sorry, guarantee it. He will. It'll be a penalty, and he's gonna score. I should put money. If I was a better man, I'd put money on this. It's gonna be a penalty that he scores. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm nervous, but yeah, like I said, 45-55. Confident that.
I think both teams will score. I can't see Arsenal keeping Spurs out, and I can't see Spurs keeping Arsenal out.
What do you see as Tottenham's weakness then to exploit?
Their goalkeeper. I know this is probably contrary to a lot of. I don't think Hugo Lloris is that great anymore. If I'm being honest. So I think if we take plenty of shots, one will find the back of the net.
You know what? I would agree. I would say he does make world class saves. Like, I don't think we can doubt that. But he always has a mistake in him. Yeah. Like I don't think you ever sit there that confident with him.
I don't know if you guys was it the World Cup final?
Yeah, I always go back to that mistake he made in the World Cup final.
Yeah.
He's had plenty of little things for Spurs. Similar, I feel like it's similar to kind of like a David De Gea type thing, where you always feel like a fumble is going to come.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it happens every game, but you always feel like there's something there.
There's a potential
for it to
that
happen.
something could happen. But
I would
yeah,
also say their Aurier is a possible defensive weakness.
Yeah.
He's definitely good going forward, but I do feel
whether
like he's
they'll
a
play
defensive
him
weakness.
because that's the thing. Well, to be fair, he played last game because that's the thing. That side attacking wise, they were quite good with Tierney and because that's the thing. If you've got Bill and Aurier that side, and that being one of our strongest attacking sides, we could potentially exploit that. And I would hope Pepe plays as well this game because it goes back to that whole structure thing that I've been mentioning before, that, you know, Arteta seems to like to play in a particular structure, which is why now Willian's hit a bit of form, he's not taking him out of the team. I would like to see Pepe come back in because Pepe, for me, well, not just for me, I'm pretty sure for everyone watching him, he has that unpredictability. You can never quite tell what you're going to get from Pepe or what he's going to do. You know, a simple tap in, he could miss and then score an absolute screamer from, you know, 20, 25 yards out, curler into the top corner. So, yeah, I would like to see Pepe play just to sort of, yeah, bring that little bit of unpredictability to the side. But, yeah, It will be interesting to see how Arteta lines up, and obviously Partey came off early on Thursday last night, so he'll be a major part during the game as well. I expect him to play a lot longer than the 54 he played last night. But yeah, I'm nervous, but I'm going for, if I was to predict, go for a 2-1 victory to Arsenal. Don't see it being a high scoring game. Obviously both the defense is relatively solid. But yeah, I'll go for 2-1. I'm not sure what your guys' thoughts on the game are, but yeah, it will be nerve-wracking for me, obviously. Okay, and
Do you want our thoughts? I was
I didn't say.
but what I would say is, I do think it'll be more high scoring than you think. I think both teams will go for it. Actually, I think Spurs do play more attacking than they have done in probably the last month or so. I see Bale getting one, and I see Harry Kane getting one. So the Spurs, I'm seeing 2 goals at least. So I feel like it's going to be like a 2-2 kind of game.
Oba double.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah,
maybe a Laka, maybe a Pepe, but
I don't see Laka playing. Yeah, I don't see Laka playing. I see Obed on the middle again. And then us just trying to facilitate Aubameyang on the counter.
I personally think Laka would have been better down the middle for this game.
That's true. But then again, this is now going back.
Spurs have quick players defensively, so I don't think
what you're saying in the sense that, you know, Spurs have been playing a little bit more attacking. You would expect the line to be a little bit higher up. If they are,
I guess Oba can exploit that.
If they are looking to sit deep, then yeah, I would say play Laka, and then just sort of use them as a wall, really bounce the ball off him with the midfielders running in and around him. But yeah, that's a big one.
It'll be a good battle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do see more goals than you do, personally.
Yeah, Nabi?
Yeah, well, I say a Tottenham win. I don't know if it will be a goal fest. I always think it will be a goal fest, and it just turns into a really tight affair.
Yep.
So I think it'll be a tight Tottenham win.
Fair.
I guess, yeah, now moving on to
United.
the team in form, Liverpool.
Yeah, well, where do we start? I guess we can start with the win at Sheffield United. Oh. No, let's not start Anfield. We'll start with the win at Sheffield United. We won 2-0, and I actually thought it was quite a good win, actually. I don't actually remember what... I think Curtis Jones played. Curtis Jones scored that game. I think first half we played very well, but couldn't score. We're very low in terms of scoring in the first half. Like we used to be a team, especially when Klopp first came in, that used to score a lot early on, like rapid over the first 30 minutes or so, and then kind of contain. Whereas we kind of gone the other way a little bit. Now we rarely score in the first half, even though we do create chances. So I thought that game was actually quite good. Curtis Jones played really well in the midfield that game. So yeah, upbeat after that game. And then that was followed by 2 losses at Anfield, as expected. 2 1-0 losses as well. First one was Chelsea game. I thought they outdid us tactically in the first half. It ended up a situation where I think in the midfield it's too easy for Mount to get space, just in between the defensive midfield and the back line. And obviously that's how he ended up getting his goal. He cut inside of Fabinho.
Yeah, I don't know what you think, Nabi, in terms of the Liverpool formation recently. Not Liverpool formation, Liverpool performance, especially at home. To be honest, because the thing I think I mentioned to Shad before is that they don't look like they're going to score. Like that's the main worry for me. Like I guess going back to even the Everton discussion where we had when he was talking to like me, it just doesn't look like Liverpool are going to score. I don't know what if you sort of feel the same or.
Well, I was going to go in the other way, the way that Chelsea played and took advantage of Liverpool's high line. I think it was very similar to what United tried, but the thing is, Rashford just kept getting caught offside, whereby Chelsea were a bit better at it and did have that very unlucky goal ruled out.
He was offside though, wasn't he?
By the barest of margins.
But that's what we've been doing for a long time, isn't it? Like, there's no point even complaining about it. That's just the rules. Like, it's hit every team. Like, every team's had their moments where the tiniest of margins has cost them a goal. So at this point, it's just if it's offside, it's offside. We just got to accept the way it is at the moment. But yeah, they outplayed us. Werner could have easily scored a few goals. Mount played the perfect role. He probably man of the match performance. And once they scored, obviously we're not going to score after that. I thought second half we did a bit better, but we never looked like scoring, to be fair.
You pick the tempo up. That's the thing. Like you're moving the ball a lot quicker. But I guess like what you say is you weren't getting into those situations where
it's the final couple of passes always go wrong.
It was almost like
always.
Yeah, it's always like you're getting to the stage before you create the chance. And then it's like the chance creation part is the issue.
Yeah, like I don't even know what it is, or even if we do create a chance, it like fumbles. Like so, in the first half, Mo Salah set up Mane, and Mane completely fumbled it. Like I kind of is a tough chance, but world class players like that should be scoring. And obviously, when that didn't happen, we were done for, especially when Mount scored the goal. And then we followed that up with Fulham game, and I thought they also had the better of the chances, really, to be honest. A good goal by Lamina. Salah was kind of at fault. It was like Robertson headed out from the corner. Salah went to control it. Didn't control it, and Lamina came in and took an early shot and hit a bottom corner. And then that was game over. Like we're at a point where once the other team scores, might as well give up.
So is this an Anfield thing or a team thing?
Seems to be an Anfield thing.
Because you're playing
for whatever reason.
You're playing reasonably
We actually
well.
Our away form
home.
is actually decent. Yeah. Like
Well,
recent times.
What I was going to say is, do you think if you had that one of the home leg of the Champions League game at Anfield, do you think it would have gone the same as the way it did wherever you played it?
It's hard to tell because it didn't happen, but in my head, yeah, I'd probably say yeah, probably would have. I don't know what it is because like without fans, in the end, it's just a pitch, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like without the fans there, what really is the difference?
I think we sort of discussed this before, like on the chat, really. But I just wanted to ask you, like, for me, like I said before, like for me, this is becoming a thing where it's more than just the VVD injury now. You know, this seems. What it is exactly, I don't know. So it's not like I'm speculating that it's this. It has to be this. It's definitely that. It feels like there's something happening. It's more than just the VV. Like obviously, not that I'm saying they don't play a part. That's what I'm saying. It's more like they're a part of it, but it's more than just the injuries now.
They're not just depth. It's not all just come down to depth. They didn't have the depth. The players had to play out of position, and that just upset the rhythm.
Well, depth is part of the problem, but I wouldn't say it's a full extent because, in a way, the depth is there in the defence. It's just that our three main centre backs were now injured, which you'd never ever expect to happen, and
Yeah, but
you shouldn't expect to cover for that.
One is prone.
One is prone, and Fabinho was the fourth centre back, and we ended up losing all three of the main.
But
No, Matip was a bit more recently, but we lost
still
all three
feel
of the
like
main.
you still got enough quality in your team to be performing better than what you are, though. Like, I get what you're saying in terms of depth, fair enough, but you still have enough quality in your team to, like, you are the Champions League, the Premier League champions, and it's not just by fluke. It was very consistent, high level performances last year. Be it, yes, with that defense, but the majority of the squad that was playing, the team that was playing in squad is still the same, really, with a few additions and one or two departures. But I feel like within the squad or the team, you've still got enough quality to be higher in the league than what you are. Essentially, that's maybe not obviously first or second, but definitely higher than what you currently are.
I think once the injuries and everything took us out of the title race, I think mentally they were a bit gone. I feel like Champions League is kind of like that fresh place mentally for them to go and enjoy a game of football in a way. And the league kind of became done.
So what about the mentality monsters?
Well, Carragher, I don't know if you guys saw it, decided to call them mentality midgets, but
what do you think of that?
I think that's harsh. I think mentally they are finding it tough, but in the Champions League they've shown they can keep a clean sheet in 2 legs against an RB Leipzig team who's second in the Bundesliga. So it's not completely gone. It's just, I don't know what's happened. But what I would say is for the rest of the season, if we can keep players fit that we currently have now, I think it does look like there's more promise. Look, there's been a lot of hate around, for example, Thiago. We've mentioned all the stuff about Thiago, and Naby, you've obviously criticised Thiago in the pod
stats are there
many times.
Kicks
yeah. Hang on a second. So you've obviously criticised, and he and myself both kind of in not a support of him, but kind of tried to explain some of his issues. And we said the system plays a lot for him. And I think if you guys saw the RB Leipzig game, you'd notice that having Fabinho in the number 6 makes Thiago have a completely different game. And if you remember, the last time he played alongside Fabinho was in the 2-2 draw against Everton. That was his man of the match performance from Thiago. And both of his best performances this season have come with Fabinho as a number 6. So I think that kind of, we won't fully know, but that kind of shows to the fact that, give him the right system and he will flourish. And I expect to see that as long as we can keep Fabinho in that number 6 for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but I didn't say that was wrong, but should not having Fabinho turn him into the dirtiest player in the league?
Yes, because he's making the same challenges, even against Leipzig. He's making the same challenges, but he's making it as like a number 10 rather than a number 6. And when you're making it as a number 6, it looks always so much worse because you end up with yellow cards and players possibly through on goal and all sorts. Whereas when you're doing it as a number 10, it's just high up the pitch and no one cares as much. So mentally, as fans, I feel like, and supporters and pundits, whoever, I feel like it makes a difference as to where he's making those challenges and what with the pressure of making the challenge. Because for him, if he's making a challenge as last ditch and his recklessness, as you want to call it, as a number 6, it's very different to him doing it high up the pitch. So yeah, I think it is a huge difference. It's a completely different game for him. Like otherwise, players would mix between a number 6 and a number 10, wouldn't they? Like they would easily swap between a lot. So there's clearly massive differences between those positions.
So you're saying it's in his game to kick everyone, but you'll get away with it more higher up the pitch.
I'm saying it's in his game to go for the ball no matter what, and he will end up looking a bit reckless sometimes. I don't think he looks like he's risking injuries at all, really, very often against players, but he would go in from the side or
I think
make weird.
that the only to
Kind of-
consider is when he's playing six, his tackles will probably be a little bit more rash because he knows if they get past me, they're through to the defense. So whereas if he's further up the pitch, he doesn't need to be as rash with his tackles.
and it looks worse in the mindsets of the refs and everyone else
Yeah.
if you're doing it as a number 6, just in front of the
defense.
defense rather than as a number 10 where they've got so many players still to go through. So yeah, not sure where you're going with there too much, Naby, to be honest.
Well, could Klopp not have adjusted? Could he not have adjusted? Could he not have
For
adapted?
me, yeah, this is I would say
Klopp should have adapted, but in what, as in put someone else as number 6?
Yeah,
And even
Milner,
further forward?
Jones, someone else. If he's your best,
not many
if he's your most influential player attacking wise, why not do what you can to have him there?
I wouldn't say he's our most influential player attacking wise, but him as a player is more influential attacking wise.
Well, he's your most influential midfielder attacking wise. I'm not counting Salah and Mane as midfielders in this, but
I would say Naby Keita is just as influential.
Really,
He's just not played as much recently.
barely see him.
He's back now. He played in the league game. He'll play. I'd expect him to play against Wolves as well. But other than in terms of number 6, we don't really have anyone there. And Klopp probably I feel like it is a mistake. No matter what, you just fill it and let Thiago play further forward. But when you lose one of the best DMs in the world, because I'd say Fabinho is one of the best DMs in the world, you lose a lot. You lose your best centre back, the best centre back in the world for football right now. You lose one of the best DMs in the world to injury plus to becoming a centre back, and it leaves huge holes in the midfield and the defence. And it's just, it's affected us a lot. But like I said, if we can keep Fabinho fit and playing in the number 6, then it's going to make a massive difference to us. I don't know if you guys saw the Leipzig game, but he was very, very good, and it made so much difference to that midfield and their attack.
The scissor kick.
The Thiago scissor kick, yeah. It's a shame it wasn't a goal, but and Mane's header afterwards, he completely lost the ball. He went in far too quick. Ended up headering downwards, but yeah, I thought overall the whole team played really well that game.
Was it not really Jota that's made the difference?
He's made a difference, not the difference. I don't know what else you want to say.
All comes down to Jota. When Klopp deliberately injured or needlessly injured Jota, that's when things start to go downhill. Now that he's back, things are going back uphill. The constant is Jota. Jota is your
At what
best
point
player.
are you going to become less of a fan of Jota? Because he is a Liverpool player. I'm surprised you're such a big fan.
Jota.
But in all seriousness, no, forget Naby's forget Naby's love for Jota. In all seriousness, it's more than just Jota. Jota played well and he makes a difference because his press and his speed and everything like that is better than Firmino's lately, at least. And especially the fact that he can run and he's direct with the ball and run at players. So instead of having 2 that try and run at players, you got all 3 of them doing the same thing, and it makes so much difference in terms of the counter-attack and just general attacking play. But to say he's the difference is, I think, it's a bit much. I think, if anything, Fabinho is more of the difference by being at the number 6 than Jota coming back in. If you had to pick one.
I know we're not supposed to be going into this, but they were wasteful-ish as well. Well, quite wasteful.
They were wasteful, but I feel like they've always been wasteful. It's just that we constantly create so many chances that at some point we score, and that's kind of what happened. And then we end up having those games where we don't waste the chances, and we end up with a 7-0 against Crystal Palace. But more often than not, we waste some, and we end up with 1-0, 2-0.
Yeah, who's going back into the past now?
Yeah,
I kept it within the season. You went back 2 years to a Champions League final that we won.
So you're making the rules on how far you can go back.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying it's sensible to stay within the season. As long as you stay within the season, you're fine.
You sound like a Chelsea fan.
No, just stay within the season.
Putting a time limit on how far you can go back, how far you can look back. Nah, you can't go too far back. But no, that's fair enough. So I guess you guys have got Wolverhampton away next game, so you should be expecting a win based on current form away from home.
I wouldn't say expecting a win, but I definitely have more promise on a win. I do think they'll sit back. My obvious issues, I think Wolves are struggling lately, and they've had a lot of 0-0s and they can't score and things like that, and they do sit with the block, so we won't have the comforts of Leipzig just opening up in the same way.
So would you
It'll
say
be back to a typical Premier League game.
Fabinho 6 again and Thiago?
Yeah, so I
need
would
Thiago
say
further up the field this game.
I'd say we got to keep these two centre backs playing for the rest of the season, which means Fabinho stays in the 6 for the rest of the season. After that, like, I don't mind if we see Naby Keita, Thiago, Gini, Wijnaldum. I'd like to see Keita in this game, personally.
What about the Ox?
I like the way he plays. Personally, not Ox. I think Ox is a game for teams like Leipzig. I don't think a low block is an Ox type game.
Thinking about this, like, if they are blocking, attacking double pivot, Fabinho sitting, and then ahead of him, Keita and
I wouldn't mind that, and I also think Gini needs a rest anyways. But Klopp never rests him. He's kind of the trusted guy. I don't know if it's anything to do with the contract situation. He's going to give him every game and hope he stays, kind of thing. But I do feel like he needs a rest, definitely. They're the ones that concern me from them is, even though Traore doesn't score anymore, he is a threat no matter what. And then you've obviously got Pedro Neto.
Is it
he's
true
a very good
that
player.
I saw that he's I can't remember, like, his last assist was like sometime last year or something like that.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. So yeah, I would say those two are the threats, more so Neto, if anything, in recent times. But obviously, Jota goes back to his old club. It would be good to see him have a good performance.
I would love Neto at Arsenal. Such a dangerous player.
I would like Neto to come to Liverpool.
Yeah.
He's a very, very dangerous, and very direct, very direct.
Very. It's one of those, the moment he starts dribbling you, he could put you on your bum really easily.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, otherwise, yeah, like, I think it'd be a cagey game and could be like a tight 1-0 kind of thing. It always seems to be with Wolves, no matter when we come into the game and how much form you have. It's always been scrappy, tight games that we've won. So yeah, I'd kind of expect a bit of the same.
Fair enough.
Don't know if you guys have any other thoughts on that.
But to be honest, I kind of thought that it would probably be a little bit more higher scoring than that. Scoring, meaning Liverpool scoring more than the 1-0. Just the fact, like you say, I guess the previous games that you're referring to with Wolves, they've been pretty much playing at their full strength. And they've had Jimenez available as their attacking threat, whereas at the moment their attack is
I'd say the lack of Jimenez would be a big issue.
Non-existent. So you would probably see them sitting a lot more.
But then I do feel like Kabak and Phillips versus Neto and Traore just sounds horrible. It just does. I don't know. Like, I think it's just due to being a Liverpool fan and how poor it's been recently in the league. I think it's probably a bit of that. Which reduces the hope in games in the league, but definitely more hopeful than I have been in the past couple of weeks after what happened in Leipzig.
I thought you didn't want them to win, so they don't end up in one of these European places.
Like, in general, I think the idea, like, if we can lose these games and then just go and win the Champions League, then great. But I don't think mentally it always works like that. I think you do need to try and build form. I don't think you can just go play poorly in the league for 3 weeks and then suddenly pick it back up in the Champions League. I don't think it's as simple as that.
Yeah. I don't think it's a thing that's possible, to be honest. Yeah.
So I think you have to mentally go into every game looking for the win. Obviously, I don't think you could ever go away from that. I think it's ridiculous and very risky to get your players mentally switching off for games like this. I don't mind rotations causing it, so I don't mind a rotation leading to a loss in that way, which sounds bad, but I don't mind it being that way. But I want my team to go out there and play for the win, because it will just ruin everything if they don't. I don't think you could ever be in like a sport match and not do that. But yeah, in like, personally, I think if we're not going to get top 4, I'd rather be completely out of Europe.
Fair enough. Yeah. I'm not sure if you have anything, Nabi, any more questions on that Wolverhampton game for Shabs?
No, I just remember the home fixture, Klopp dropped Jota for his game against his old club. Yeah, I wonder if he'll do the same.
I don't think he will. I think he has to start him unless Firmino's back. But Jota then also got taken off in the Leipzig game after like 60-something minutes. I would expect him to start. I can't imagine why not. Like, I think looking at the recent games, like you got to start Jota. They've all played well together, so yeah, we'll see.
Fair enough. I was busy trying to find a segue there, but you guys didn't give me any. So yeah, I guess we just do it the old-fashioned way. Nabi, talk to me about United.
You could have said from Jota to not a lotta goals.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. But no, yeah, it didn't come across.
So, the first game of the three was the 0-0 against Chelsea, which was followed by 0-0 against Crystal Palace. So the 0-0 against Chelsea was just their usual Big Six game plan. It was just defend well and try and take your moments. And the moments came. I think the biggest moment is probably in the second half when they had the breakaway and McTominay had the ball on the right, and all he had to do was square it. Rashford and James are pretty much on their own on the other side. All he had to do was square it to them, but he couldn't make it to them. And that was probably the biggest chance that they had, and that would have been the plan executed perfectly for the in terms of games against the Big Six, of which one we'll come on to later. But yeah, in terms of that game, it's pretty much as the games usually go. I don't think Chelsea had that many big chances. I think maybe had one with Werner. Apart from that, I can't really remember
Yeah,
them.
but I
I
guess
feel like,
Werner getting a chance is as good as Chelsea not getting a chance, right? Because he
yeah, at the
just
moment,
can't.
yeah.
Yeah, this season, yeah.
He just can't seem to hit the back of the net right now.
I feel like De Gea made a save from someone. I can't remember who it was. But yeah,
Probably. I just feel like it's a defense.
He
Both
did.
defenses won the game kind of thing, wasn't it? Really?
Oh, remember it was a strong hand that he had to keep up. It was not Mount that he kept out.
Ziyech. It was Ziyech.
Ziyech's shot. Yeah, strong hand to keep out
yeah,
Ziyech's shot.
Yeah, we both agreed it was a good save, and Naby said it was all right.
Yeah.
it was alright. Yeah, apart from that, I think the only other talking point was the potential handball by Hudson Odoi. I think in the first half, I think even in the first like 5 minutes, I think it happened.
What's your thoughts on that then?
I mean, I think if you're going on unnatural position, his arm. I mean, I don't think it was a handball, but if you're going on, like as we were talking before, unnatural position, I think that should come under unnatural position of hand. I don't think it should have been given, but on
So you
the
think that
turn,
was unnatural, but Kante's wasn't unnatural?
yeah, I think Kante's wasn't. If you actually look at what he's trying to block the ball, and he's kind of jumping to block it, obviously his arms are going to go up because both arms are the same. So I think it's a natural position. This one for the Hudson Odoi one, his hand was up and out.
So it
Like
was
one
Rashford
arm up and out.
Greenwood. It
Yeah,
literally
it just missed one and hit the other.
That was just by chance that it hit Doy's hand rather than Greenwood's hand. Because it could just as easily, both their arms were pretty much exactly the same, but he just hit Hudson Doy's hands first. So I mean,
My point would be, sorry, if we're saying that Hudson Odoi didn't mean it, which I'm sure we can all agree he didn't mean it
I
at
don't think
all,
we shouldn't take.
then how could you
into
say
this.
it's unnatural?
We should take into
No, but my point would be if you're not looking to put your hand in the way to like intentionally, like if it just looks like he's just trying to play the situation, his hands go up, maybe he's trying to chest it down or whatever he's trying to do, then his hand's not in an unnatural position because it's just a general body shape and it just led to his hand touching the ball kind of thing. Like, I wouldn't say that's unnatural.
That's the same for Kante though, and you said that was unnatural.
But you said it was natural position, but you're saying Kante's
I'm saying
Hudson Odoi's was.
Yeah, Hudson Odoi's one arm up and out. Kante's is both arms doing the same thing, so it is natural.
I thought Hudson Odoi's was in a natural position. Personally.
But anyway, like we've all agreed that it's not a penalty. But in terms of just on that topic, I think that could come under unnatural position. But yeah, I don't think there's really much else happened in the Chelsea game from what I recall. I think just another game where United didn't take their moments, but did their job defensively. And then I mean, the Crystal Palace game is one of those games where it's like, did
Sorry,
that happen?
now, but just as you did with the Kante one, I just went back and had a look at the Hudson-Odoi one, and both his arms are up in that position. So I guess similar to what you said about Kante's hands, both of them being up in that position, would apply to Odoi as well, because that just looks like his natural movement, if you will. Both his arms are up, same level, really. And so are Greenwood's, to be fair. Um, but yeah, I guess the main thing is we both agreed that not a penalty.
Well, if that's the case, then yeah, but yeah, that's fine. I thought I remembered it as his right arm was different from his left, but if that's the case, then yeah.
Of
But
course he
anyway,
did. Of course he did.
well,
Yeah,
where's it?
both arms are exactly the same.
Well, let's see his left arm.
You can see the ball.
Yeah, you can see both.
Left
They're
arm is
both
the one
up.
touching the ball. Right arm is the other side.
Well, I only see
No,
the right.
it was right arm that touched the ball, and the left arm's the other side.
Yeah, I'm
But
looking at
you
it
can see that they're
reversing.
both up in the exact
No,
same way.
where's the left arm? Move it.
You can see it in the screen. I can see it right now. I'm looking at it.
It's all blurry. I can't see it.
But yeah, it's up.
Yeah.
We can tell you that it's up, Nabi.
Yeah.
We are confirming that it's up.
Well, it's a weird kind of swan position he's doing.
It's a position where you'd kind of like, in a way, take to go then chest the ball, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like that's what I saw it as.
Like
He's looking to then chest the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's preparing to chest the ball. That's what the difference with the Kante one was. I don't want to go back to it, but Kante wasn't looking at chasing the ball at all. He just
but Kante
was
was
just getting in
jumping
the
to
way
block
for a
it. No,
cross.
he was trying to jump to block it, and he ended his arms go up as you do when you're jumping. You can't jump.
He didn't
and
even
keep your
jump
arms down.
though.
Well, he's
Not
attempting.
really.
No, he was going to jump. It was one of those where you think you need to jump, but because the player doesn't cross it, you
But then
stop.
other players tuck their arms in and like elbows in when they go to jump. Like for
but
example, like in a free kick.
Everyone has
you'd
their
like-
own way of the way they jump.
I don't.
Anyway, getting back to the game, Nabi.
Well, that was Shiab's fault. Blame her.
No, to be fair, I'll take the blame for that. I was the one who brought back the
Yeah, exactly.
the
No,
handball.
Shiab's fault.
Yeah, I'll blame
what-
Shiab. So
What did I say?
The Crystal Palace game was boring.
Well, yeah, it's one of those games that we just like, oh, let's just forget about that. Because not only is nothing much happen, you couldn't even see it anyway. You couldn't even see the match. There was so much like fog and mist. You couldn't even really see what was going on.
Did you ever consider it would a bit called off? Because I started to look at like the way I was seeing it on the screen. I'm sure the players saw better than we did. Like we're obviously looking at it through the camera, but at some point you look like we can't even see anything. Like what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those where it just looks worse on camera than it is.
I think
on
it
pitch
is.
level.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but you couldn't really see what was going on, and there wasn't really much going on. I think they did start well with Luke Shaw. They had a few good attacks with Luke Shaw, but I think it was like Rashford and Greenwood and Cavani just couldn't finish the chance. And there was really
sorry, I was just want to say
Yep.
sorry to interrupt when you're talking about Luke Shaw, because as I've mentioned a couple episodes ago, that I do agree with you that he's sort of on form, one of the best LBs in the league. Yeah, but also another one of the best LBs in the league right now, Cresswell. Him or Luke Shaw for the England squad? Who are you picking? Or are you taking both?
well on this. Recently with England they've had to kind of make shift at left back. They've put like Trippier there and they've put Saka there.
Yeah.
But when you look at it now, they've got three really strong left backs. They've got Shaw, Cresswell, and Chilwell.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Cresswell misses out personally.
Highest assist.
I think Shaw
highest
and
assisted left back in
Chilwell
the league.
fair, but I do think Shaw and Chilwell go with Saka as the third option just in case.
Do you think Cresswell misses out because he plays for West Ham?
Potentially. If he played,
I don't know, no, but Gareth Southgate has brought in players from other teams. Like
No, but I
Pope
think
gets in as a Burnley goalkeeper.
But in terms
I
of
know
the
this-
goalkeepers, the options are thin. If Cresswell played for another sort of top 6 team, I think that's an even bigger headache for Southgate than what it currently is.
Oh yeah, definitely. But you can't take all of them, and
Yeah.
I think with Saka being a left back option, but also being able to play in all right wing, left wing, and in the middle, and being able to do left back, he's fine as a third
If
left
England
back.
don't
Personally,
get to at least if they don't get to the final of the season, I don't know what's going on.
so yeah, I
That's-
think it's at this point where
Looking at the
Cresswell
talent
you can't take.
it's ridiculous not to get into especially attacking wise as well. It's wow.
Oh, there's so much, like, especially in the middle, like
Mm-hmm.
some of
Even
the
out
players are
wide,
there. Yeah, it's great.
Sterling, I would say Stones. What's
Sancho,
Sancho? I meant
Rashford,
Rashford. Yeah,
Foden can play out there. Grealish can go out there.
Saka's out there as well.
Saka goes out there. Yeah, there's plenty
Yeah,
of options.
what's it? The guy, another guy that Bellingham at Dortmund.
Bellingham at Dortmund. I don't think he'll get in actually because he plays middle, and
Yeah,
I
it
think there's
does.
too many.
But anyway, sorry, Naby. You back to you. The Palace game.
I can't recall anything worth talking about in the Palace
Yeah, I
game.
think that, like, my point would be they just look dead on their feet. Like, it's the least energy in a game I've ever seen ever.
Yeah. It's just one of those games where they just couldn't. They just
Yeah.
didn't look like they could be bothered. It's just like one of those games. We're just going through the motions. Really,
Yeah.
just a really forgettable game. But it must have been saving all the energy then for the next game, the big game,
Yeah.
the
With
derby.
that, even like I've got a question for you. The last 3 away games that Ole has played, Pep rinsed him. Maybe exaggerating, but saying rinsed him, but he's beaten him. Should I say like? And yeah, United have played. It's not like just United have scraped it and it was okay. Like it's United playing well as well, not just like meh. You know, they just managed to get a win. It's like they've been going to the Etihad and playing well and getting the 3 points in the league.
Yeah, it's a good record.
What is it that he's doing?
Well, obviously it looks like they're doing something special against City, but I think they're doing the same thing as they're doing against the other top 6 teams. But it just so happens that against City, they seem to, maybe because it's the derby, there's something a bit extra. That's when they seem to actually take the moments when they come. Because
Yeah.
in
And also, do you think with City's possession and high line, it probably falls a lot more? The City fall a lot more victim to United's play in the sense of the counter than mostly, because in terms of Arsenal will sort of tend to play a little bit deeper and be conscious of the counter. But City, it's almost like we play our way, and that's similar to Liverpool. But I guess with Liverpool, I would probably say right to say you shut the bed in Anfield, but with City, it almost seems like yeah, because of the high line, and the possession that they play. City, they almost it's this way or the highway. Like this is the only way we play. It suits United perfectly.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Of the top 6 teams, City
Yeah.
are the least to want to have to change their
Yeah.
game plan for United.
Yep.
Yeah, that probably is a factor in the way that they've been able to allow them to actually get through and take the chances. But yeah, in terms of the record, I think he could easily have the same record against other top 6 teams, but they just haven't been able to score. Whereas in this derby, right at the beginning they were at it. They were able to close down City. They got Martial in the box, surrounded by like what looked like 10 players. If you look at some angles of photos, just completely surrounded by City players. And Jesus was a bit.
Jesus, yeah.
Jesus.
It's not Jesus. It's
Jesus. Jesus got a bit too keen.
That made the game for United, didn't it? So early on, like it basically meant we can do what we need to do now. Like there's no ever any need to change tactics anymore. Like once you get that early lead, you're then spending the rest of the game being fine, kind of.
Well, I think the game plan for United still would have been the same. Just sit back and counter. And I think for City, I think they still would have been the same as well. Just play their normal way.
And to be fair,
Obviously,
sorry.
I was going to say, obviously, goals make a difference. But I think in terms of game plans, I think probably would have stayed the same for both.
Yeah, because I was going to say that I guess the thing as well is City did miss quite a few sitters as well, didn't they?
They did. They couldn't score anything that they, conjured up.
Yeah.
It's not like them.
Yeah, because kind of maybe in like the same way that United have got like I was saying, it's a derby. There's probably could be a bit extra for them. Like it seems to affect the City players the opposite way, especially Sterling, because he's got this record now that he can't score against United.
Yeah, it was like that for United and Liverpool, but he broke the duck against Liverpool this season, didn't he?
Yeah, he
But
was
yeah,
bound to at some point, and I'm
yeah,
sure he will against United at some point as well. But
yeah, but
yeah, he
yeah,
couldn't score. Foden like missed the chance, and I think like their decision making was off in the final third compared to what it normally is. And like De Bruyne had a bit of not completely off game, but he had a bit of an off game as well with his passing range.
Yeah, De Bruyne didn't look quite at it, but I think United have developed a system in which they can try and minimise City's attacks. They basically just use McTominay and Fred in the middle. And the back four keep quite tight. I think just between the six of them, they've developed a way.
um, carry on because I don't want this to seem like I'm having another go, but I might have asked this before. I can't remember actually, but I saw it on Twitter recently regarding the whole United defense that I wanted to ask, and it was actually a United fan that was making the point, rather than like no opposition fan. But yeah, finish your point and then I'll ask you.
I can't remember what more I
Just
was
talking
going
about
to
the
add.
game, to be fair.
Yeah, well, it was just another game of Wan-Bissaka versus Sterling, where Sterling just could not. It's a bit surprising they've not decided, well, let's try Sterling on the other side, but Sterling keeps wanting to go up against Wan-Bissaka. It's like he's aware now that this is now a thing,
Yeah,
and
for
he
me,
wants to try
I
and.
would be willing. Like I would feel if I was Pep, but then it doesn't work because Mahrez always wants to cut into his left. I'd say I would probably be more comfortable with a player like Mahrez going up against Wan-Bissaka, because Mahrez has got a trick or two that he can use to get past players. Whereas I feel with Sterling, not really. It's usually that touch, 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 and then push it past you. Touch, 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 push it past you, kind of thing. Whereas it's not. It doesn't. Mahrez would do a step over, or would do something to try and get past the player. Whereas Sterling doesn't generally do that.
Oh, it just reminded me, Mara's left short on his knees once. It was hilarious. I don't know. Was it that game? Yeah,
Yeah,
it
there
must have
was.
been.
I think that was
It
the
was
only
so
moment.
funny.
I
No,
think
but
it's
it
the
was
only
funny,
moment.
wasn't it? It must have
It
been quite
was.
funny.
I think it was the only moment where Luke Shaw's been undone. But just that one moment.
Massively undone though. Like you're talking like I know it didn't end up being a goal, but you're talking like when Messi left Boateng on his
Oh
ass.
my goodness, yeah.
It just bamboozled Shaw and Shaw just
that
like on his
like
knees.
it looked like someone just tied that. Every time I see that clip, I always laugh because it looks like someone just ties Boateng's shoelaces together and then tries to run. It's
Yeah.
like nope. the way he
But
just
yeah, like
the way he just falls.
yeah,
It's
the short
hilarious.
one was I found it funny. Of course I would, but yeah, just on his knees. Yeah, but yeah, I guess you might as well ask your question to Nabi.
So it was before the City game as well. To be fair, that I saw this. Who was it? I can't remember. Anyway, the timing is relevant. It was like I said, I think I might have asked this. Someone was pretty much saying that one of the main reasons why United's defense has been so good or continues to be good is mainly because he plays two DMs in Fred and McTominay. And when you then look at the stats, it then favors your centre back pairing without factoring in the fact that McTominay and Fred do a lot of the hard graft to prevent the attacks coming to anything. Whereas I guess most teams that you be comparing your stats against to Arsenal and Liverpool usually play one DM. So obviously your stats will. I guess yeah. The question is, do you agree with that notion, or do you think it's a little bit too far fetched?
No, I agree. I don't know if you're trying to say it as
No. It was
a
just
negative, an insult, but
no.
I think yeah, I think it born from the game against Tottenham because I think maybe only one of them played, and they got smashed.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, I think part of the fact they were still in pre-season had to do with that. But I think that from that game, Ole decided that against the top six, he's going to play McTominay and Fred. He's going to have that extra assurance in there. Because, like I was saying, I think their game plan is be solid defensively and just try and take your moments on the counter.
Yeah, fair.
And they've done the defensive part. They've been doing really well against top six. They're just not being able to do it on the other end. But I think that's a progression, and I think that will come. Just need a bit more extra quality up front because they are still a bit inexperienced. If you take out Cavani,
just need
so I think
200 million.
What about Martial at 26 years old?
Well, Martial against he had one of his best games against City.
But in general, this season he's been poor. But I'm just pointing out in terms of experience. Like outside of Cavani, you do have Martial. Like Greenwood and Rashford, fair enough. But Rashford 26? Has been doing it for a while. Something like that, 25, 26. Greenwood's very young, obviously. And Rashford is experienced. Like he is youthful, but he's experienced. Like the same way you'd call Mbappe experienced. You got to give Rashford this.
Would you call Mbappe experienced?
You'd say you wouldn't put it against him. Like you'd say he's fine. In any situation,
I would say he's experienced. Like this guy has scored and played in the World Cup final. You know, he's played Champions League finals. You may not have won his league titles. He's very experienced.
Yeah, but I'd say he's more. I think that's more the fact of just how special he is, rather than experienced.
No, but Rashford's also played a lot of games and played for a good few years now for England and for United. So. I wouldn't say he's inexperienced in the same way as like a Phil Foden, a Greenwood, a Curtis Jones, like those kind of players. Like, yes, his age is young, but he's very experienced, and especially for big games and stuff. Like, he's done enough of them, plenty of them. Same as like Trent. You wouldn't call Trent inexperienced. He's been through enough now. So yeah, I would say Greenwood's obviously inexperienced, and Diallo's starting to come in. He's inexperienced, but I wouldn't say it's only Cavani as an experienced player.
I'm saying as a front line, they're not quite there because they do move around a bit and they've not played enough together to kind of get that sharpness.
They were on fire last season though, weren't they? I remember back into the season we were talking about how good they were as a front three and stuff.
Yeah, but I think they played more consistently together. This year they've been a bit more changing about because Greenwood had his old England thing. I think Rashford has his injuries, so they've been a bit apart. Martial had his suspension, so they've not been able to have that constant stream of games together. They've been a bit more in and out and changeable, which probably affected that.
Starting to sound like shouts with all these excuses.
Sounds worse. He's talking about bust ups in England and stuff like that.
Well, I'm just saying it affected them at the start. Which is why it took a bit longer to kick off. But what more? Well, yeah, the first goal, was the penalty. The second goal was just Luke Shaw being Luke Shaw, just completely doing Cancelo, and then just strolling his way into the City box, just making a nice pass into the corner. Just.
I would say it was a bit of a scuffed one though, but yeah, good goal, very good goal. I wouldn't say it was a clean finish.
It doesn't need to be a clean finish.
You always have to have a little
no, but Naby's description of a lovely pass into the corner isn't exactly how it happened. Yeah, it was a great goal. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it wasn't a lovely pass into the corner. It was a scuffed pass into the corner.
To be fair, there's one player that I've noticed that passes the ball to the net more often than others, and it's Messi. I've never seen someone pass the ball into the net as often.
But Messi cleanly passes it into the net. Yeah.
Yeah, like literally.
Yeah, like a pure hit. That was like caught under his foot a little bit. So he actually did very well to do what he did with it, really, personally.
Anywho, it was a good goal nonetheless, which I guess gave you guys the 2-0 lead, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think saying about Martial, he had one of his best games, and I was kind of annoyed for him when he missed his kind of one-on-one. He just kind of hit it straight at Ederson. That would have kind of really topped off his performance. But yeah, overall, just a really good game from United, but it's something that we seem to be able to produce against City.
Yeah. Not sure if you have anything more to add,
No, not really. I haven't got anything else on that game.
Yeah, because I think the McTominay and the Fred thing, because if you look at since that Spurs game, United have not conceded an open play goal to a top six team, and the only goal they conceded was that penalty against Arsenal, and even against the current top four. I think the only open play goals they've conceded was in the one game against Leicester. So I think they have got a defensive plan that works for them, which includes McTominay and Fred, because they work really well together.
Speaking of
I don't
things,
think T's point was about it working, was it? Sorry.
sorry.
It wasn't whether it works, it was the fact that it makes the stats look better for Maguire than maybe it could have been had they played with the one. But anyways, moving on.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's gonna sound like an anti-Maguire thing, but having that double pivot there protecting him. I mean, I'm sure if you put that in front of David Luiz, that will make David Luiz look good. But speaking of top four, do you think they will do that against West Ham? That's your next game now. Do you think they will play the double pivot against West Ham? And do you think United will win the game fair and square this time without actually cheating?
It was never proven that the ball was out.
Nabi, it was proven that the ball was out. The ball was
Just
out.
Because some guy with technology made it so. Nah, gotcha. Where's the proof? This game, I am worried about because it's West Ham and because it's after a Europa League game. I think there'll be a drop off. I think if you remember, I was saying before, any game that comes after a Europa League game, it'll just be try and get the win. I don't see the performance being there. And I think against West Ham, it will be a struggle. And I think the biggest threat will be set pieces, because I think they won't have what has been their best open play asset in Lingard, who obviously can't play and has been doing really well. And their other threat comes from set pieces. I think they've got a really good.
One big man, one big strong man who makes a huge difference for them as well.
He does, but you think he's been linking well with Lingard. I'm not sure what his situation is. He always seems to have a mystery injury. But yeah, I think set pieces will be the biggest threat. And then it'll just and I think they'll be sluggish. I foresee a sluggish performance from United because it's as a Europa League game. So I think they'll just have to try and find a way to nick the win. It'll probably be similar to the way that the FA Cup game against West Ham, when albeit they had to get the winner in extra time. But I think the flow of the game will be similar to that, and they'll just have to try and nick a goal and just see out the game. So that's how I see it going. Will they play McTominay and Fred? If they're both fit, then yes, probably will. Just try not concede, and then just try and nick a goal.
That has been a key fixture for you guys for those two this season, isn't it? McTominay and Fred.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Anyway, okay. I won't get into it again. But yeah, fair enough.
I mean, City, Guardiola did it in the home fixture against United. He played Fernandinho and Rodri.
Yeah, but I
think there's nothing wrong with it.
That's specifically against United, I would say, though. Rather than most of the time, he will only play one, won't he? He won't play two.
Yeah,
but now I just know the reason why I keep bringing it up is that now I just know that whenever you talk about Maguire being this and that, I just know that he's got extra protection. He's wearing Durex.
No, that's only in the top six team. That's only in top six teams. Against all the other teams where he's fantastic. He's fantastic in all games, but in top six.
Fantastic in all games.
In all games, Maguire is unbelievable.
Except for when he misses a sitter, but
that was just him clearing the ball. He just got mistaken of where he was.
But yeah. And I guess for you, this one, I guess the classic line is you're just looking for the result, not too bothered about the performance.
Well, I'd like a good performance, but I just can't see it happening because of the way things go after Europa League games.
Right, okay.
I'm expecting like I don't know, a 1-0 or a 2-1
to West Ham.
to Man U.
Yeah,
I think they will
I think
get
the
the
loss of
win.
Lingard will be big for West Ham.
yeah, I
And
agree.
it's unfortunate the loan rules are different in this country compared to others. But yeah, the loss of Lingard will be massive, I think, for them.
Yeah, fair. But I'm not sure if you've got any thing else to add, Shabs.
No, I do agree with Naby in that it'll be a tight game
Yeah,
and very sluggish. Yeah.
me too. And yeah, I guess yeah. On that note, we will um, before I say bye, make sure in the description click on the links, like, follow, and interact. Thank you very much for tuning in.